Well, good morning, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from beautiful San Antonio, Texas. The second most powerful, passionate, purposeful coach and speaker in the world. Hope you guys are fired up and ready for a fantastic Friday today. Wanted to help somebody out who has teenagers. We have, of course, 7 kids. 4 of them are teenagers that are in the house right now. And what a wonderful opportunity to learn how to lead differently. You see, most parents lead in the most natural way possible, which John Maxwell, the father of leadership study, would say is level 1 leadership. You see it in the military if you have someone who maybe went to college and yet is incompetent as a leader, or somebody who is maybe the CEO's son or daughter running an organization. This is called positional leadership. Positional leadership is defined this way. You have the title, so people got to do what you say if they want to keep their jobs. So you use bullying or the title to manipulate people's behavior to get them to do what you want them to do. This is really not true leadership, by the way. This is not true leadership, by the way, when you're at level 1 leadership, according to John Maxwell, because this is where you just basically bully people around, or you pull position. Because I told you, because I'm your mama. Because I told you, because I'm your daddy. Well, do it because I'm your boss, unless you want to go get another job, McFly. It is the lowest level of leadership, and John Maxwell would say it's not even truly leadership. John Maxwell states clearly that leadership, true leadership, is nothing more and nothing less than this one word: influence. Leadership is influence. And you can grow in leadership and grow in influence typically by who you become more than by what you do, because ultimately, if someone does not respect you for who you are, then you will not have the type of influence that's pure, genuine, real influence. So let's talk about battle strategy, battle tactics for parents of teens. And I address leadership because it really is all about leadership at this stage in a child's development and growth. So it helps to medically have some understanding about what's going on with the teenagers during this time of their life. There is a frontal lobe in the brain that we all possess, and this frontal lobe is responsible for ensuring that we have a section of our brain for self-protection that says, oh man, don't do that. That would be really stupid. You could go to jail for that. Oh, don't do that. That'd be really stupid. You could get hurt. Oh, don't do that. That'd be really stupid. There could be some really bad consequences if you do that. The frontal lobe is responsible for that type of thinking. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It ain't developed until they're like 22, 23, 24. And most of it doesn't even operate well in the teenage years, which is why you have movies or TV shows like Jackass, you know, where these dudes are just literally hurting themselves intentionally doing stupid stuff. Let me see by a show of hands, how many out there have ever seen a guy do something stupid? Anybody? How many of y'all have ever been a guy who's done something stupid? All right, now you know why. The frontal lobe, that part of the brain that looks at consequences to decisions, is not functional. You have the privilege of becoming one of those individuals who can ultimately learn. I am my teenager's frontal lobe during this season. Number 2, when we talk about the battle, I want to give you a mind shift. The battle is not between you and your teen. Let me say that one more again. The battle is not between you and your teenager. The battle is between you and yourself. And if you're married, your spouse too, because that can create a little bit of tension. The battle is between you and yourself, because you will have a natural way that you want to show up, and then there will be the wisest way that you can show up. Now, this works perfectly in a vacuum if you don't have emotions. I don't know about y'all, but I got some emotions. So when you are, first of all, recognizing this is a battle, and what is battle indicative of? Sometimes it's life or death consequences, guys. There are life and death consequences at stake. So you are in a battle for your teenagers really well-being, their life, and the way they see themselves and how they experience this transition that says, I am not a child and I'm not an adult. However, I feel like I'm smarter than anybody in this house and I'm going to live like an adult. I'm going to make decisions like an adult. But remember, they don't have that frontal lobe to say, this is stupid. Danger, Will Robinson, this is stupid. They don't have that functioning. So the battle is between you, and how are you going to choose to lead? Are you going to lead at level 1 Maxwell leadership, which is bullying, or damn it, because I told you so, just do this, just do that? Or are you going to learn to lead like I do, with questions? Lead with questions. So what might be the consequence if you choose to go down that path? Oh yes, I agree with you. You do have the right to not listen to what I have to say. And you're not free from the consequences of that decision, however. So here's the consequences. Which do you choose? So I'm giving you a little bit of insight. First, recognize that they don't really have the capacity that you and I have. They haven't made the stupid mistakes that you and I have. They're probably in the process of making the stupid mistakes that you and I have. And they're learning, and yet we want to hold them accountable to the wisdom it's taken us years to obtain very painfully. So having grace for your teenagers is a strategy. Okay, having grace for them, having understanding for them. This is a strategy. Understanding that they are truly looking to you to say, is this woman, is this dude going to write me off if I do this? Are they going to write me off if I do that? They're testing the limits and the boundaries of what you say is important to you as a parent and what you value as a parent. They're testing those limits. So awareness is a huge factor. First and foremost, if you're aware of what's going on with them, then you can be better prepared to understand, okay, this is what's going on with my children. Number one, they don't have a frontal lobe. They really don't know what they're thinking very well. Number two, this is a good one, guys. This is natural. You're able to tell yourself, hey, this is natural. This is exactly what is supposed to be happening with my teenager right now. My success as a parent is not raising a child who's going to do every single thing I tell him or her to do. My job as a parent is to equip them with the foundational morals and ethics and understanding and hopefully a desire to show up in this world excellent so that they can go out and begin making decisions for themselves. So my success as a parent is not that I have a kid that's so wonderful and so sweet and they're just like, you know, doing everything I tell them to do and they're like a little Stepford kid. That's not success. I got to have some fight. I got to have some rebellion. I got to have some pushback because I need to know that my kids have what it takes as leaders to go out and lead and to fight in this life against the things that come against us and them. So I just have to remember, the battle is not between me and them. The battle is in my head to lead them well, okay? And now here's a tactic. A tactic is, don't get them into what you're into. If you want to connect with your teens, find out what they're into, as weird as it is, and get into that. Our kids are into The Walking Dead, we got into The Walking Dead. Our kids are into Parks and Rec, we got into Parks and Rec. It was weird, but now we are Walking Dead freaks. We are fans. We got into what they're into so that we have some point of connection. And the good thing, it's so smart the way the good Lord created us to have to get hungry every now and then. We all agree that when we're hungry, we like to eat. And when you're eating, you can't really be arguing. And so we all know the kids agree on a couple things. They agree on Grimaldi's Pizza and they agree on Chick-fil-A. So there's always a couple places, and sushi. It's the only three things that all of our kids in our house, all the 6 that are in our house, all agree on, so we can go to eat and have a time to chill and to calm down. Another strategy that we're implementing in my house that we are building into this Ziglar real estate coaching program is a wheel in the wheel of life called Tech Habits, where we are going into airplane mode. We're developing what we're calling airplane mode. Airplane mode is where you have airplane mode night, where everybody agrees to put their phone in airplane mode and we shut them down so that we can truly connect and learn how to communicate with one another. Because see, they're really not learning how to communicate the way we learned how to communicate in our generation. I'm gonna be 49 on Tuesday, so we communicated differently. We didn't have those electronics. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up right now and just tell you this. The battle strategies, the battle, first of all, is not between you and your teens. The battle is between you and your head, learning how to exhibit some self-control when you would really like to put your elbow on their forehead like McGregor about to do with Mayweather maybe. And number 2, you recognize that they don't physically physically, their frontal lobe is not developed. That part of the brain that says, don't do this. This is stupid. I'm going to get hurt. They don't have that. You have to be that for them. Number 3, you really can't control them. You're just going to have to give up that reality. You can't control them. You can maybe force their behavior when they're in front of you. And is that what you really want? Or do you want to have a connection with them that causes them to want to choose to do the right thing when they're away from you? Because you know those kids can be sitting down on the outside but standing up on the inside, and you're fooling yourself thinking, well, I just got them to do that. Well, and I understand that. There is some merit to them behaving a certain way, and yet you're after their heart. You're after how they're going to behave when they're away from you and when they're adults. And then another tactic, which is simply get into what they're into, as weird or unusual as it may be. And when you get into what they're into, you step into the world, you begin to think a little bit along the lines that they're thinking about. Now realize this, guys, our kids are exposed to things that we didn't see for years and years and years if you're in my age range. There's so much they're exposed to that they don't have the ability to process through how to really live that in real life. So I conclude with this. Have grace for your teens. Love on them. How do you think the good Lord feels? He has given free will to people, and people are crazy. They hate him. They don't want anything to do with him because they think he really doesn't want good for them. He's just trying to control their life and make their life miserable. They don't get that he loves them like crazy and just wants to see them do good, and says, look, I ain't going to force you to obey the stuff I'm telling you. I'm just saying there's consequences if you don't that you'll bring on yourself. I ain't doing it to you. I'm telling you how to not have those consequences. You're the one choosing to go down that path. And it's the same thing with our teenagers. They need to know that we love them like crazy, that we're never going to write them off, that we're never going to put them out, that we may have to put them out of the house. We may have to tell them, come back when you're ready to get your head straight. We may have to do that, but we're never going to write them off. We're never going to blow them off because they're our kids. We love them. Have grace for your kids. Understand the battle is in your head to lead with influence and not with bullying. Get into what they're into and understand that physically they're just not completely developed enough to make great choices. And let's remember, we can't hold them accountable to make the types of decisions with the wisdom that we have earned over the years through our mistakes. They're making the mistakes right now to learn it themselves. They might not show you that they're learning, and yet they are learning. Hope that helps y'all. Have a great Friday, guys.